Friends, during this awareness course, we are indeed undergoing through all the important and fundamental aspects related to disaster management. Friends, we have now reached to one such very important topic without which we would not be accomplishing our motive of understanding the subject of disaster management. This topic is all about understanding functional aspects of various services before, during and after disasters. Since friends, discussing all these aspects needs a lot of performance based experience and knowledge, we have with us a very eminent, experienced, knowledgeable and a very disciplined senior personality, Shri K.M. Nandyal sir. Sir, welcome sir. Friends, it is indeed my pleasure to introduce Shri K.M. Nandyal sir with all of you. Shri K.M. Nandyal sir is a retired Indian Army officer. During his services, he has served at various institutes of Government of India with glorified positions like Central Home Guard Civil Defence Training Institute, Bangalore as Commandant, National Civil Defence College, Nagpur as Director. Nandyal sir has represented Government of India in various national and international deliberations and very prestigious events. He was also invited as resource person by Government of Philippines in their World Seminar on Disaster and Health. He was a special speaker in a second international conference on trauma and critical care. Nandyal sir is a distinguished guest faculty for disaster management and its fundamental aspects at various prestigious institutes like National Police Academy, Hyderabad, Punjab Police Academy, Philor, College of Military Engineering, Pune, INS Shivaji, Lonavala, Ordnance Factory, Staff College, Nagpur, National Civil Defence College, Nagpur, Internal Security Academy, Mount Abu, and the list is long and long. Nandyal sir is a recipient of various honors and awards. To share a few of them, State Government Commendation for his excellent work in flood rescue during a dam disaster in Mysore in 1971, also for organization of milk supplies scheme in Bangalore during emergency strike of dairy employees. He was awarded with President's Home Guards and Civil Defence Meritorious Service Medal in 1987. He was awarded with President's Home Guards and Civil Defence Distinguished Service Medal in 1994. He was also awarded with DGCD's Commendation and Disc for Distinguished Service in 2002. Apart from this, Nandyal sir was a member of Home Minister's Advisory Committee for Civil Defence. He was also a member of Subcommittee of Prime Minister High Power Committee for formulating disaster management plans, and there are many others. So friends, we have a very eminent personality with us to discuss through his next few lectures the various functional aspects of before, during and after disaster. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vijay, for all the introduction, though you have glorified me a lot. Thanks a lot again.
Thank you sir, it's my honor.
Friends, greetings to all of you. I am using the word greetings deliberately since I don't know when this online presentation of mine will be seen by you either in the morning or in the afternoon or in the night. However, greetings all over again. I am very happy to be with you today, and I am sure during this crash course on disaster management you must be exposed to various aspects of disaster and their management and situations to be handled by various people, because disaster management as a subject is called as multidisciplinary activity, and in multidisciplinary activity there are certain aspects which require special stress from people like you. The organization wherein you are expects you to contribute in this regard, and hence what I am going to speak to you on the functional aspects of various services before, during and after disaster is a very important thing, since it tells you where exactly your role play is. Now to come down to the various aspects, what we call as functional aspects of various services before, during and after a disaster. You as teachers should know what are the various services wherein you may be involved, so that your own ideas about this service and your role becomes very clear. For example, evacuation. Large number of people become homeless and they have got to be evacuated. This is not an easy job. Very recently we have had a situation wherein in Tamil Nadu we are required to evacuate about 75,000 people at a given short time. This is not an easy job. It is requiring a lot of nitty-gritties that is to be looked into, hence evacuation and your role play. Where do these people go? You can't just ask people to go away to wherever you want. You want to send them where? A, we would call that as relief camps. And relief camp, what type of relief camp? There are different types of relief camps. Fine, okay, I send them to relief camps, I send them to various other places where they can stay. What about their feeding? What about their rations? What about their distribution? What about clothing? This aspect is another thing which requires detailed functional thinking and also your contribution. Apart from all these things, we have to talk in terms of recovery management. What is recovery management? There has been a situation where they have been involved, where buildings have collapsed, where they have been homeless, they have been evacuated, they have been sent to a camp, they have been given food, etc. in a camp, and they are staying there for some time. Recovery management is not forever. It is meant for some time only. You got to go back to your place, and for that, what is the requirements to be done? That is the aspect that we need to be looked into. First and foremost, I will start with the word evacuation. Once you talk in terms of evacuation, what you should know is large scale movement of people from an area which is likely to be affected by a disaster. In other words, it is no more fit for you to stay, to a safer area. Call it area A, and the safer area should be called as B. This can be called pre-disaster evacuation done by various authorities. We also have a funny situation here, wait and watch attitude by the people. What do you mean by wait and watch? People staying in coastal areas, you may not be knowing this much, but a people or a person who is staying in a coastal area, he is so much used to cyclones that for every cyclone, if he has got to start moving from his house, he will be outside and not in his house. Now to see that this sort of a situation does not arise, what he does is, let me see how bad, how good or how ugly this situation is. Now this is a thing which is coming up because the government has not explained to the people what exactly is the situation and how it has to be tackled. In other words, we should know what exactly is to be done. There is another aspect to evacuation. Sometimes people live on their own with no rhyme or reason being given by the government. In other words, government has not told them to go, but still people are going. Why are they going? Because of fear of their life. This fear of life and movement without knowing or without this thing is known as exodus. One of the best examples that we can have in this sort of a situation is the Bhopal Gas Tragedy. In Bhopal Gas Tragedy, people started moving left, right and center without any aspect being taken into consideration, such as warning by the government, arrangements by the government, where to go, how to go. These are all things not known, yet people started moving. This is known as exodus. And the best way of planning for this sort of a situation and evacuation is what I am going to try to give it to you today, in which I am going to tell you how exactly we are going to do this. First and foremost, in peacetime, earlier it was told to you before, during and after. Now what do you mean before? I am not going to wait for a cyclone to come and then start. So before a cyclone, I must say, how do I move these people? Where do I move these people? Which are the dangerous areas? Which are the safer areas? In other words, I as a person who is ordering the people to move should know these questions and these answers. Once I know them, I start preparing a plan wherein I will say, okay, I will assemble them in a place known as an assembly area. Now you may say, what is an assembly area? Assembly area is a place where people congregate, and from that congregation they start moving. Where to? As I told you earlier, from point A, which is dangerous, to point B, which is safer. Now the thing that we have to see in these assembly areas are as follows. Movement of people to assembly areas, that means from various locations that they are staying, they should all come and congregate in the assembly area. Once you have congregated, my main job is to group the people. What do you mean grouping? If for example, a family consists of 5 people, I would love to see that the 5 people are there together. because the thing that you should understand in movement or evacuation as we call it, there is full of stress and they are in a psychological disorder. Add to this family missing. Family missing will add to the stress, and there will be a lot of problems for the officials who are handling the evacuation. So we would like to have grouping of people within brackets what we call family as a unit. Then what we do, once we have 5 or 6 families or 10 families together, one of them is selected as a leader of this group, another one as a deputy leader. Keep the leader in the front of the group and keep the deputy leader at the back. The leader knowing how many people are there and the deputy leader knowing how many people are ahead. And this way there is a coordination between the two and the place where the registration is taking place. At this stage we also inform them how we are going to where, we are going to so and so place. In other words, people are not asked come to assembly area, group as a family, start moving. No sir, no question. You have to tell them how to go, where to go, and then that where to go is, this is the area, this is safer and we will be going there. This is exactly what we are going to tell. In other words, you are moving from A and going to B. Now next question that follows this is very, very rudimentary. What do you mean going? How do we go? Make a route map in which you say, I am going to move you people from this place to this place, and certain actions to be taken in different routes also has to be followed. But before that, check back the registration is over, and strictly we have to tell the people, you will move in the route which is being given to you. In other words, A cannot go in B route, B cannot go in C route. In other words, they have to follow the route which has been given to them. To explain this aspect in a little more graphic detail to you, I am taking an example of a map of Kolhapur to Gondia. Now the reason I have taken Kolhapur to Gondia is, Kolhapur to Gondia has got a beautiful railway line in which train service is already existing. In other words, if evacuation is got to be done for a long distance, my friends, don't lose forever the utility of a train, because larger number of people can be moved and with ease. So train is the first option. Then we come to the second option. If there is another route where vehicles can move, what type of vehicles? For example, arranged vehicles by the government like buses, trucks, or vehicles which are with the private citizens like cars, vans, etc. These can be given another route. Then a third route which is short. For example, in the map I have said Kolhapur to Gondia, because pedestrians can't be asked to go from Kolhapur to Gondia. I will be asking them to go from Kolhapur to Sangli. So pedestrians are only going for a short distance. The reason I am giving you the example of movement from Kolhapur to Sangli is that shorter distance only can be travelled by pedestrians. Long distances like Kolhapur to Gondia cannot be done by them. Hence we got to take into consideration the distance as a factor. And who are the people who are going to be there as pedestrians? Aged people, invalid people, females, children, maimed characters. And when such people are there, you can't have long distances to travel. In the absence of such things, what we got to do is that in movement you got to ensure what? That there are certain places where they can stay, and that place is known as the rest center, which I will be talking to you after 5 minutes. Now coming back to another thing, officials are also interested in knowing how this work is going on. People are moving by train, people are moving by vehicles, people are walking, that is the pedestrians. So I would like to know up and down movement and see. But now you are going to ask me a question. Sir, do you mean to say I will do evacuation only if there are 4 routes? Oh no, certainly not. Since ground dictates the conditions, in case of non-availability of routes, I will follow the police system. What is the police system of traffic arrangements? I will take the help of making route lanes. Route lanes will have all these 4 aspects, but a little elaborated by having 1 or 2 lanes in which all these 4 things can work. Maybe there are no trains, but there are vehicles, there are pedestrians, and an official route earmarked in what we call as a route map, which is on the route lane systems, and this has got to have police help, because we cannot have a situation where traffic will start moving on the pedestrians and pedestrians will start moving in vehicles. Why? Entire aspect of evacuation is also depending on speed. Please remember, a cyclone has got certain time limit. It is telling you 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, in which time I got to move from the area where it's going to hit. So it is in this condition that I am doing the movement and not having an easy time on my own. Now we come to the next aspect. I told you a little while ago that pedestrians require some amount of help, assistance, in order to ensure what? A little bit of rest. For that you must have rest centers. In the rest center we will have first aid, so that people who have become injured, people who have got some other medical problem, they can be taken care of. You always require water, whether you are walking, you are sitting, you are talking, you require water. Let us say you walked already 5 kilometers. You need water, so drinking water facilities. Now we come to a very important aspect. Let us say I am moving about 50 kilometers. I have only traveled 5 kilometers. I require somebody to tell me, come on, you have done a wonderful job, you have already moved 10 kilometers, only 4 more stops are there and you will be reaching your destination. What is this called as? This is called as motivation. And who are the people who are going to do motivation? These are the teachers. And this aspect is also called as psychological first aid. In other words, somebody who goads the people, come on, carry on, don't stop, you are at it and you will reach your destination. That is the idea of motivators. In all these things we should not forget one important thing. Rest centers can become useless centers in no time if hygiene and sanitation is not taken care. In other words, hygiene, sanitation is a highly important aspect even in rest centers, because you are not going to move 50 people, 100 people. There may be 1000 people going around. So you got to take into consideration this aspect. Apart from this, the thing that we must understand in rest centers is, let us say it becomes night. You can't tell the people you have walked in the morning, now walk in the night also. So maybe they will be required to stay put in the night. In other words, you may not give them a cozy bedroom, but give them a space where they can stay in the night and rest, and in the morning they can start all over again. Though the idea of rest centers should not be forgotten, but the importance of rest centers is, the longer the distance, more rest centers. Please do remember this, longer the distance, more rest centers. So we have come down to this. Now we come to an all important camp which we call as reception center. Now what is this reception center? A reception center is a place where people who have gone by the train, people who have gone by the vehicle, people who have gone by walking, pedestrians, all these people reach. And what is the idea of this reaching this place? They have reached this place for the simple reason that they have to now know where they are supposed to go and rest. Now this business is well done by a camp which is having a map of the settlement camps. Now you will say, why a settlement camp? Let us say 20 of you who have lost your homes, who have lost your near and dear ones, you go to a tent and they are told, oh no sir, sorry, this tent is full, you go to the next tent, and you go to the next tent, they say, sorry, this is also full. And then you can't say, oh, hota hai, and I will manage the situation. You will get irritated, law and order problem will be there. Whereas to avoid this, what should I do? I should have a rest center with a map. What type of a map? Having various accommodation details. For example, in the chart you can see the number of people who are moving around. They should not be moving around without any sense of direction. This is most important. What is the word I used? Sense of direction. That means instead of going to camp A, camp B, camp C, you should know firmly, I am going to camp A. Now how do the reception center help me? I will be saying camp A consists for 100 people, B consists for 50, C consists for 20. In other words, it's already earmarked. One more important thing, no reservation can be done. In other words, you can't say 4 of us have reached, 5th fellow is coming and hence I need a place for him. Please don't do this, because we are talking in terms of thousands and thousands of people, and if everybody starts doing reservation, we will not be able to run any camp at all effectively. So we discourage this particular aspect and we don't want you to do this. So now we come to the next aspect, that is check back system. Do you remember I told you the start of my lecture, there was somebody known as a group leader and a deputy leader. At the reception center, you should be able to check back with the help of the group leader. How many people were there? He will say 20 of them were there, my group leader is the last person. If the group leader has said, I am sorry, deputy leader is the last person. If the deputy leader has reached, that means your group has come. If the deputy leader has not come, you say count and you say 14, then you should say 16 of us including the deputy leader, I mean 16 of us have reached here, 4 people including the deputy leader are yet to come. This is the way in which we have a check back system. Now this aspect of relief camps is very, very important for the simple reason, never forget that the people who are coming to a reception center are not army jawans, neither are they scouts, nor are they NCC students. They are all people who have become homeless. They are people who are without any kith and kin to look after their help and assistance or give them comfort, and psychologically they are shattered because they don't know what has happened to their relatives. At such circumstances, making them run around helter skelter in camps is not a good idea. Reception center takes care of this aspect. Friends, till now we have discussed various aspects of evacuation and the nitty-gritty aspects of evacuation. Why the nitty-gritty aspects? Evacuation is already a human problem. To make it a major problem or to make it a little more comfortable depends on us who are given the responsibility, or to be more precise, bestowed with the responsibility of ensuring that the movement takes place safely, comfortably and as happily as possible, because don't forget, these people who are moving are people who are helpless, who are fully stressed, and people who are not knowing what exactly is going to happen. But the only thing they know, government is doing it for us and hence let us follow it. But there is the other situation which we discussed in the beginning, and that is exodus. What exactly is exodus? People moving randomly without any idea where to go and what arrangements are there in the other place, and how many days it is going to take, how am I going, and who is going to help us. These are some of the aspects that are not known to the people who are doing this job, and that is known as exodus, where people move from A place not to B place but to C, D, E, F, not knowing where to go. The best example of this for exodus is known as the Bhopal Gas Tragedy. The Bhopal Gas Tragedy was such a disaster, chemical disaster, wherein we had a situation where in the night people were made to move helter and skelter, since they did not know where exactly they are supposed to know. That means they did not know what is a safe zone. And what happened? They walked into the area without knowing the wind direction, and they moved in an area where the poisonous gas was coming in their area or towards them. Hence large number of casualties took place. This could have been avoided if only they had known which are the safer areas and how exactly they should go. And the government or the welfare state, as we call it, is the one who is supposed to take into consideration this sort of a situation and convert this exodus into a evacuation. This is a major task. This is a task which is very, very difficult. It is easy to talk in a lecture but difficult to achieve on ground. But first thing first, I must inform the people, don't go to dangerous areas. How do I do that? I can take the help of televisions, I can take the help of radios, I can use tom-toms. For those of you who don't know what is tom-toms, in the villages we beat the drums and then tell them. We can use posters, we can use newspapers, we can use mobile vans, etc. That means all available aspects of information technology that is at my disposal should be used for making them understand you are moving fine, but don't go to ABCD areas, go to EFGH area which is safer, and some arrangements are being made. Now we come to the important aspect of exodus. In case still people don't believe us and start moving towards, let us say, place C, which is very dangerous and having lots of problems, then at a given stage you should have check posts. Check posts with the help of police and buses, vans, etc., trucks kept, so that people who are stopped there are loaded into this and driven toward the direction in which the assistance is there and in which help is there, in which people can breathe a little more easier. In other words, I am trying to convert exodus into evacuation. This is a difficult task. Many a times if you try to hit 75% as your success rate, you may achieve 60%. In other words, in exodus, try as we may try, we may still be left with about 40% of people going wherever they want, and this is something which has to be seen to it that we don't encourage this sort of a thing to happen, and we should mobilize people to make them understand exodus is not a great idea and it needs to be stopped. So these are some of the things that we have got to take into consideration when we are talking in terms of evacuation as well as exodus. This particular aspect of my lecture has been to highlight the aspect that evacuation or exodus, why they do it and how they do it, and what is the role of government in this, and what exactly we are going to do in exodus, and how do we try to convert it. This is what we are trying to convey to you in the last 35-40 minutes. The role of teachers and what they are supposed to do is something which I will be dwelling upon in my next phase of my lecture, which is going to follow shortly. Thank you very much.